I call the honourable member Mark Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And it's with great pride that I stand to support the Fair Trading Soliciting on behalf of Charities Amendment Bill, Mr Speaker. And I think that the Honourable Amy Adams and our Chief Whip, we're actually taking a real lead in something that isn't just a problem here in New Zealand. This is a global problem, where people are losing faith in charities because up to 80% of that money is getting tied up in administration fees. But I have to say, Mr Speaker, that this bill is actually making sure that over $1 billion of revenue is actually getting to the people that need it most. And I'd just like to address the previous speaker and say that today all I've heard from the Labor Party, the opposition, is an attack on a government because we have a plan. Because we have a plan. Yes, we do have a plan, and a bill like this actually is part of that plan in making sure that $1 billion of revenue finds its way to the people that need it. I would ask the opposition to actually maybe take a leaf out of our book and come up with a plan, even if it's a 2-point plan. Give us a 2-point plan. I mean, that wouldn't be too much to ask. That'd be interesting to see.
Even one line would be good.
But, Mr Speaker, Kiwis are some of the most generous people in the world when it comes to donating to our thousands of worthy charities around New Zealand. I'm sure that when they make their donations, there's an expectation that most of the money will be used to support the delivery of services to the people who need that support most. Unfortunately, that is not always the case when third-party businesses have been used on behalf of a registered charity. There is a real risk that a disproportionate amount of that money collected is retained by the collectors to cover costs. I'm sure that there are many members of the public that are not aware of this fact. As I said, Kiwis are the most generous people in the world when it comes to supporting charities. I'd like to just use some figures around this so as to be able to demonstrate how important this piece of legislation is.
That's right.
We currently have over 25,000 registered charities in New Zealand.
25,000.
Charities that are supporting a wide diversity of groups within our communities, from animal welfare, religious groups, children, the elderly and families. Kiwis have given over 444,000 hours of their time to charities over the past year. And our nationwide charities received income of more than $1 billion. So it is easy to see, looking at some of these numbers, just how much money and time and effort have been donated each year to charities, and why it is important to give donors the peace of mind that the money they donate is finding its way to the people that need it most. Mr Speaker, this piece of legislation goes a long way to restoring the confidence in charitable appeals that are so important and a real part of the fabric of this country. Mr Speaker, the Commerce Select Committee received and considered 25 submissions. The committee heard 7 of these submissions, and I commend the committee on its work because it's apparent, listening to Mr David Clendon, that's gone a long way to actually making sure that there is support in the House for this bill, which I think is very important. The bill will provide for a regulation-making power, which is very important. This gives more flexibility to make the changes that work. Mr Speaker, I was only going to take a short call on this bill, but it has been a pleasure to be able to stand and support it. Thank you very much.
I call the honourable member Rajan Prasad. Namaste.